Ahoy, ahoy.
Morning.
Yes.
Merry Christmas Eve, Eve.
Yes.
Eve, Eve.
Eve, 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 Eve.
I've just about finished reading Seven Eves, which would be what I guess the 18th.
Sorry, say that again?
I just about finished reading Neil Stephenson's Seven Eves, but I was saying Seven Eves would be December 18th.
Yeah, but that's not the Eves they're talking about.
But it's not. That would be a much dumber book. But
yes,
I'm prepared to read it.
What do you think of it so far?
The first two parts were interesting. Stevenson is really much more interested in or describing sort of arrangements, like technical arrangements, than people's kind of intellectual reactions. Something that I've realized recently. I loved The Peripheral, and something I realized is that I get a lot more out of people's epistemologies, what it is to be a mind, and how to respond in a world as a consequence of being that mind. And so, augmentation, prosthesis, those are interesting, but the actual sort of physical arrangements of like what buildings are like, not so much. So some of it's a bit of a slog because of that, because the third part is a lot of buildings. And and then there was this great big orbital elevator. It's like, okay.
Yeah. I listened to it, so it's less of a slog when you're listening, I feel. But yeah. I thought it was pretty fun. I liked the way they went with it.
It's very inventive, and it's really cool for people to kind of really find ways of thinking about things that aren't just the ways in which society is going to be ground to a pace.
Sorry, my wife is freaking out. Yeah, was that the one that opens with the moon exploding? Yeah. Okay, I got the right one in my head. Yeah, I like the way they handled the different ways humanity reacts to this. A little better than the Don't Look Up, or
Don't Look Up is very much of a sort of a farce stripe.
Yeah.
Talking about
Seven Eves.
Oh yeah, Stevenson. I have that book, but I haven't read it yet.
I'd say it's worth it. Definitely.
I'm just looking on lists for what people think are plausibly the books that are the most about augmented reality for ways of thinking about how other people are thinking about it.
Interesting. Have you read The Three Body Problem?
Yes.
I feel like that one has a nice difference in thinking too, as well.
Yeah, ways of being an agent. The fact that they sort of be the game that they play forces them to consider being embodied as manifestly different creatures, which is quite fun. I had such a good week with augmented reality.
Oh yeah.
I invented ways of so like, I don't know if you've seen like The Peripheral, but like they do a lot of sliding of one finger along another finger for controlling things, and I made that and in different directions, so that doing it like this way is different to this way and it's different to that way, and it feels so good. I haven't tuned it. I haven't stuck it to anything yet, but I'm going to put it so that it controls the bandpass envelope over a song. So you have an MP3 and you can kind of turn up the threshold on a high pass,
So wait, sorry. So you said
on
band
a low
pass?
pass. Yeah. Oh no, so yeah, like turn up the frequency threshold on a low pass on the song with your fingers, like that.
And so what will that what will that will that send it like to the Miami Beach cruising sound like trunk of funk, or what's gonna happen?
Um, well, it's just yeah, it's like yeah, the Daft Punk song that starts with the "Fun Back to the Party, Come On." That's a classic, something with a low pass, and then the low pass is gradually taken off. It's got a relatively low Q value, so it's um a smooth filter, and then as it turns up, so it is a sort of a party music trick to make something sound more exciting. But most of the time people are using a physical dial, and yeah, so having it there, I think, is going to be fun, and possibly having it like being in VR and have it be of sounds in specific places,
Okay.
so that you can kind of turn them up or down in the way that it would be possible in augmented reality to artificially do that. Because AirPods, for example, have the ability, or the sort of holistic system of AirPods and phones and whatever, have the ability to distinguish speech-ish sounds, and so you can kind of turn those selectively up or down, and so you can hear Foley in a place and not speech, or speech and not Foley, and kind of configure and control those levels in real life. Which, if you have a sort of an immersive enough environment for being able to do that, it's pretty fun. So if you have like AirPods in while using an Oculus Quest or something, then you can do that. So yeah, really fun.
Hey, that reminds me. So yeah, I want to hear more about uh what our AR future, because your enthusiasm is pretty cool. Like, and so because I'm a little bit kind of like, I don't know. I mean, you're just the usual kind of what do you call it, optimistic contrarian kind of vibe that I can't seem to shake. So I want to hear more about that. But it just reminded me. So this took a while, but I was like, I'm really into the idea of flight simulators, because like I always wanted to be a
Mhm.
pilot and stuff, and um but I've never, it's just like such a thing, because like, I don't think there was a time, I remember way back in the day, like what was even the kind of Mac I had back in the day? What would it have been? Like it wasn't
What
a Mac.
year?
What's that? This was like back in, let's say this would have been uh like early 2000s. What kind of Macs were people using? I'm
Mac minis or
The
iMacs were early 2000 Macs.
Yeah, I didn't have an
yeah,
iMac.
the
Was it an
Bondi iMac
8500
was
AV?
Maybe it's something like that, like the it was like
6100 AV, because there was a 6100 8500s that were big. Oh, there was
yeah.
the although those weird 3G towers.
Yeah, God, man, it's so weird that I can't remember what Mac I had. I mean, so it was my apartment in New York City, and it was like I had this mini loft, and I had my computer. I had two computers up there. I can't even picture it. Fuck, it's weird. Anyway, there was like a flight simulator. It was an F-16 flight simulator, and I was like, it was great because it required very little to kind of get going and flying, and just kind of make a mess of everything. But you could do it for like 20 minutes, and you're like, all right, I'm good. I just wanted to just mess around a little bit. And the flight simulators nowadays, I mean, you got to watch like 6 hours of like YouTube before you can even start the thing up. You know what I mean?
You
Like,
need your pilot's list.
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
like DCS. I mean, even like Microsoft's Flight Simulator itself. Like, I got it, and I was like, "This is great." Now I got my render station set up. I've got two GPU cards. Like, this is gonna be amazing. And I started up, and I was like, "This is so fucked up." It's like it won't span across two screens, right? And I'm trying, like, I got a good friend of mine at like Logitech. He like gave me a code, and I got like the all that stuff, and I'm like hooked up, and the USB cable's going in place. Like, I couldn't even get the thing to get off the ground. And I think part of that was like my impatience, but also part of it was just like the UI and UX. It's like, oh, okay, how do I configure gear up? You know what I mean? Like stuff like that. And then you got to stop and you look at the instructions, like, okay, I got to do this thing. So it's just very involved. And I'm not, and I get it. And people enjoy that. They want it as thorough and thick and not, they want the aerodynamics spot on. I've got like, I think 3 flight simulators installed on the thing. DCS, I've got Microsoft Flight Simulator, and I've got X-Plane. I can't use any of them, right? They just, they're just sort of sitting there like, waiting for like, oh, maybe, this holiday break, you'll commit like, 142 hours to like, anyway. So that's the whole backstory. But so I was like, I mean, it's, slightly embarrassing, but like I have like the kind of fuck off controllers. Like, a couple years ago, like I spent like a few $100s because I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And when we're at the other place on the other side of town, they were sitting on the floor and they were gathering so much dust. I mean, it's just terrible over on that side of town. It's just like, I mean, the house just leaks like dust like crazy. And we were like on a major road. They were like so covered with dust that literally when I went to go over there, like I put a mask on because I just didn't want. Sometimes I'll get like a histamine reaction if there's a lot of dust. And I was like, I didn't want that. And so, like, I'm cleaning it off with like barbicide wipes and everything. And so I brought them back. It was like kind of like, should I just like sell these things? Like, there's a good, second market for them just because it's hard to get stuff nowadays. It's like, I could get the money back. I was like, you know what, like, fuck it, let me just hook it up and like, let me just the new setup. Let me just see if I can do it. And so I hooked it up, and I also got, I can't remember what it's called. I got this rig that is kind of like an AR rig. So now instead of having to use the arrow key to pan around the cockpit, which is just forget it. You can't, that's not going to work. I can just move my head. And I was always mystified. Like, because people were saying, like, no, no, just get that thing. Like, it's not that much money. It'll change everything. I was just like, yeah, bullshit. I don't even get how it could work. And I watched some guy's video, some lovely like 69-year-old dude who's got his whole setup in his attic. And I actually stumbled across, just YouTube. The algorithm was like, maybe you should look at this thing, idiot. And so this guy's got this whole like full on rig. Like he's got like Nick, like you, not your gamer chair. He's got the flight simulator chair. It's like the
Right.
special chair for the flight simulator, and he's got the whole like apparatus. So he's in this thing, when he's flying, and he was actually doing the video to talk about how he set up this new. He was doing a review of this chair system that had all kinds of like little bolt-ons, stuff like that, and it was like setting up like an IKEA thing for it, but he did. He's like, okay, 7 hours later. It's like 7 hours, man. I got this thing set up, and he had this one, I don't know what to call it other than an AR rig camera, and then it's got a, I guess it's got LEDs that you kind of hook to a headphone, like a special rig, and then a camera. And he's doing. I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, and he's like tuning it. He's like, okay, so my look back, my look right, okay, look down, I can move in forward. And I was like, whoa, that's a trip. And so I got it, and I thought they were like, yeah, we'll be shipping like next year. And I was like, all right, well, when it comes, like, that'll be another waste of time. But it came lickety split. So I was like, let me hook this thing up. It's off the hook. It's crazy. So it's like I'm not immersed, but if you kind of let yourself go a little bit, you're kind of like, oh, you're in there. Like,
Mhm.
what is that display that I have no idea what it does? Like, I don't know how to fly like a A10, but you're like, oh, there's something down there. You go like that, and you look at it. It's like, oh, there it is. This is great. Let me see what's behind me. Oh, there it is. Like, let them. It was pretty amazing. People are like, oh, you're either going to be VR in Flight Simulator or you're going to be one of these dudes who uses this rig. And this rig was like, I mean, like, I'm semi excited to try it again, but Dre and I have a bunch of shit we need to do, so I can't spend time doing that. But it's kind of
That's
cool. Like, I'm,
awesome.
I'm still not, but and I've got my joystick and my throttles, so I can crash more effectively and not figure out how to take off and figure out how to
Right.
figure up really well. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I'm kind of like, I'm a little bit
Yeah,
like, VR, I get it. Okay, now I get it. Not that I didn't get it technically, but just in terms of like, oh, this is cool.
Totally. Yeah, that's really heartening. I mean, yeah, so I've got a couple of devices like that. There's something called the Tobii eye
That was it.
tracker.
That was it.
So
That was Falcon.
yeah.
That's it. Sorry, Dre. That was it. Did you play that?
Oh,
No, I didn't play it, but I was familiar with it. I immediately thought of that when you mentioned it.
Yeah, it was great. It was great because you could just get in, get out, get a little bit of action, and then get out. This thing, it's like, and then you watch the game streamer dudes doing their thing. And you're just like, man, they're like, they're talking to each other. They're like, okay, take that guy out there at sector 47 3 X-ray. I'm just like, man, I'm gonna go back and rearm. It's like I can't even land this thing. How you gonna go back and rearm? Anyway, sorry, Brandel.
Oh yeah, no. Those eye trackers, head trackers. I mean, webcams should be able to do actually a reasonable job of figuring out where heads are. I was talking to a friend who's ex Google X on Wednesday, and
Track IR is what it's called.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Track IR, interesting.
Yeah, they've got a pro. So I got the pro because I was like, I don't know, it's like $40 more or whatever. I don't even know what pro means, but it's like, yeah, I'm professional. And then it comes with the regular one, and the regular one is just reflectors, so it's passive on the human head side, and then the pro is active. And I think I don't know, I was confused. So I had both, and that confused the whole thing. So I was like, oh, wait a minute. I get what's going on now.
Yeah, those things give you so much more ability to kind of express intent and attention to a system, and that's generally what for people who understand, which is remarkably few people, what the basic promise of augmented reality and all of those other things really is that right now on a computer we only really exist as a couple of keystrokes in a mouse coordinate. But when a computer has the ability to know where your head is pointing, then it can provide information that's sensitive to that. And the more channels of information that are available to it, unfortunately, in this world, the world of surveillance capitalism that this kind of realization has dawned within is not the best one for people to be able to recognize that those channels of information can be beneficial for the user themselves rather than for the advertiser. But yeah, like you can know something about what somebody's doing and what they're likely to be able to understand and what's good to show them and let them do as a consequence. And so like something like a track IR knows how far away your head is and what direction it's pointing. If Microsoft or any other company like thought about that or used it, then they'd be able to make it so that you could look, you could peek past your windows, or you'd be able to kind of move your head in to zoom on apps, and be able to control that in Photoshop, and
Yeah.
being able to kind of zoom and pan in Photoshop while you've got a Wacom tablet or whatever. Like those could be pretty amazing as mechanisms for being able to kind of naturally and fluidly interact in a way that means that you can kind of learn it and you can get really good at it the way that your muscle memory can kind of kick in. But I think at a level and at a scale that's so far beyond the way that you can kind of learn the various claws and keystrokes that you've got to kind of contort your hand into because you can make these multi-step actions. So yeah, like that's what AR is for me. Is that we can make it so that we can just interact and understand fluidly and continuously with whatever we happen to be wanting to think about in computers at the time. And yeah, it's going to take a while, even after people release really good hardware of a kind that I don't think there is out on the market yet, but it'll get better. But it's going to take even past that point for people to go like, hang on, we can do this with it. And I'm hanging out for that. Metasure hell doesn't know what it's for.
I'll be back in a bit.
I like how Matthew Ball in that metaverse book that he wrote, talking about the closest things that we have to the metaverse, and the one thing that he cites is Microsoft Flight Simulator being
Mhm.
the closest approximation to a metaverse like experience, because it has this persistence, like it's tied into I guess Microsoft Maps or whatever it's
And
called,
like
Bing
real
Maps.
time weather, and I
Yeah,
think you can get even like real you know, the ATIS, the kind of
yeah, flight tracking.
flight tracking. It's, I think, I'm pretty sure I know X-Plane does, but it ties into these kind of side networks of people who just want to be flight air traffic controllers. Like, I don't want to
Mhm.
fly. I've always wanted to be an air traffic controller. So they're actual humans there. I think
Yeah.
there are also AIs there, but they're humans. So you could be like, you could, I mean, the full experience, right? And then I think even there, it's at some level, I've heard, I don't know for sure, but it's like you can get certifications,
Mhm.
or like, ladder up in some way basically for your qualifications and that kind of thing. And supposedly like the flight dynamics are spot on.
Yeah, and that's it. It's like it's a virtual twin of the world, of a version of the world, this flight version of the world, and it's persistent, and it runs kind of alongside of human activity.
Yeah.
Um, and then he makes a lot of really interesting points, because a lot of people talk about, when they talk about Meta doing a play for the metaverse, and to think that, Epic Games and Nvidia have 20 years on Meta in terms of exploring virtual worlds, and uh, and Microsoft, owning Flight Simulator, which is a really great approximation, but also having purchased Blizzard a couple of years ago. Like, they're very, and I think what they do with AltSpace VR is better than what most like, I think it's better than Meta's Horizons. And I think Microsoft has an opportunity to do something interesting in the metaverse, whether or not they even remember that they own AltSpace VR. I don't know why they don't talk about. I don't know why they
Yeah.
don't talk about.
What's going on in that room over there? I don't know. Let's just go. Let's just keep walking. Yeah, it's like those things that you
Like, they
forget.
bought it once, and the M&R people just weren't talking to the marketing people or something.
Yeah. What's in that locker? I don't know.
Yeah.
Nothing good. Stay away from it.
Yeah, I mean, I would just um, try to force the teams that have the most familiarity with kind of spatial and metaverse thinking onto the office and productivity teams. I think that making a metaverse out of Excel is the most exciting thing you could do.
Making a metaverse out of Excel. I'm just trying to get that idea wrapped around my head.
Is it wrapping? I'm not sure what that is.
No, it's not.
It'd be fun to imagine.
Yeah, that's why I'm just thinking. It's like, what kind of design fiction can I make out of the Excel metaverse?
Well, do like things do so if let's say it's a spreadsheet of it's a balance sheet, and the balance sheet reflects, I don't know, what is it?
Like, does it make you off balance with the books? Like, you physically feel ill if the corporate P&L is off kilter? Like, it contributes to latency, and it does weird things to your senses. Like, those people who do the walk the plank thing in VR, and they literally become terrified. Um, um, you know, does the metaverse bring um like base emotion to accounting?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I think, yeah, if you combine like Mid-Journey with being able to tune positive and negative prompts, and then generate sort of spaces and textures for your environment according to the P&L, then you can kind of take a peek around a corner and see the cobwebs in there, and realize that like that's not a great space, and sort of navigate your purchases and expenditures accordingly.
Okay, I'm liking that idea. I think I'm going to think about that for
your
I'm gonna
design
think-
fiction daily.
yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
think about it for a hot minute, see if I can bang it off today so I can schedule it for tomorrow while I'm trying to drive in a snowstorm with my mall crawler.
Oh yeah, Central North America, like the middle part of the country, is cold. The middle part of the continent is cold with them, isn't it? It's going to get really, really cold.
Yeah. Yeah, it went from raining this morning to about an hour ago, the rain turning to snow, which just basically means there's there's 1,000 people slipping and sliding like baby seals on ice. And there's going to be nothing but accidents for the next 24 hours.
It's like nonstop.
Yeah, smash, smash, smash.
Yeah. So just I wonder what Mid-Journey would give you if you said like snowstorm pile up. You think the classic view, it's always like a kind of slightly long shot. It's like really white and kind of misty, and a couple people wandering around, and then the tow truck, a platoon of tow trucks.
Yeah, platoon of tow truck and the Christmas tree in the background.
Yeah. I'm gonna ask Mid-Journey what it thinks of that. Where are you, Mid-Journey robot? Yeah. I was trying to get Mid-Journey to I mean, I kind of did it. Apollo lunar landers, but I wanted it to be more I told it to say designed by Tom Sachs,
Mm-hmm.
just to see if it would be a little bit more bricolage-y and kind of like using
Yeah.
Shit you can pick up at Home Depot.
Yeah. I did Tom Sachs inspired astronaut suits like a few months ago. And
Did it do anything?
Yeah, it did some really nice stuff. So I used designed by Tom Sachs, but I also said like I used words like handmade, DIY, like find some words that express.
Yeah, so I was doing that.
Janky. I think janky and
janky,
improvised.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
This one's kind of interesting in the
to-
bottom right because it's trying to do his like little handwritten, he'll write like NASA, but just with a Sharpie.
Yeah.
These are okay, I guess.
Yeah, this has it's okay. It's like it looks like it could be made of cardboard, but maybe it's just some kind of techno greeble to make it.
Right.
Yeah, I'd try to push it like maybe like made out of paper. You could like paper and plywood, white painted plywood.
That was an Apollo lunar lander period, DIY period, bricolage period, designed by Tom Sachs period, on a white background, call outs, isometric view, handmade. I'll try janky.
Have you tried Jugad or Xianzai?
Sorry, with
Jugaad.
Yeah, Jugad.
That's the
okay, Jugad, okay, that's a good one.
That's and I think and Xianzai, I think XIANZAI. Is
okay,
the sort of the Chinese equivalent? Maybe it's not. There's it means like when people say like right now,
Yeah.
it's 现在. But I'm trying to find the
What's the
what
Jugad? The
Jugaad.
Jugaad
Yeah, Jugad. I put DIY
janky DIY.
and even say like uh, uh, plywood painted white.
The magic incantation V4Q2.
Yeah,
Is that it? Return?
looking good.
Where's our Jeopardy music?
Dun, 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 dun. I've been having too much fun with Chat GPT recently.
Oh, what's been going on over there?
Oh geez, it's just the the just the interesting creative things that you can play with. Like a buddy of mine, we're working with generating monsters for Dungeons and Dragons. Like we just basically copy pasted some dungeon master manuals and some monster definitions, and then had it create monsters, and like they're awesome. And then what you can do is you can because you can continue the conversation, and it knows everything.
This is kind of working.
Yeah. Yeah.
This definitely looks like you had like a really like you made it out of cardboard, huh?
So you know what I do with that one? I'd add DOF as a prompt to that.
Okay, so same one, but
Yeah, just
depth of
copy
field,
paste.
is that it?
Yeah, depth of field, exactly. It's going to add a little blur because right now what's happening is everything's really
Do you just add? Is there any order of precedence, like depending on where you add it, or is it just kind of like?
yeah, I think there's some things that you can do in terms of like commas versus periods versus colon, like weighting it. I don't know if version 4 lets you do weighting, but I always
Yeah, because look, wait. Oh, I didn't say.
I put
Yeah.
DOF at the end. I put DOF at the end. I think that would work better at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's just instinct based on experience, huh?
Yeah.
No rule. See, didn't do any call outs.
Like when I did, let me look at my last one that I used DOF. Where?
Try this one.
Oh, that's hilarious. All right, so I got a buddy of mine who's like just sent me like a wonderful piece of design fiction, and he's just because he's looked at what I've been doing on my blog, and he was like, I like what you're doing, I'm going to start doing that too. I'll send you a link to it. It's funny. Yeah, I think adding depth of field to that's going to hopefully make it look bigger.
Isn't the imagine prompt lacking, Julian? Or am I seeing it wrong?
Oh, I did it wrong. It didn't take. Yep, sorry.
I do that all the time.
I just typed it in and
Same here.
went away.
It's funny that it's not doing any of the instructions or the callouts.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe there's no, I don't know, like nothing of this style helps it get to that.
Maybe maybe change the aspect ratio to 3:2, because maybe it needs a little bit more room.
Minus AR.
AR
3
space
colon-
3:2. Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, looks like something's going on there. There are restrictions on the aspect ratio, aren't they, with the V4?
Yeah, it'll only do 1, 1, 3, 2, and 2, 3.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it starts doing this weirdness.
Yeah,
I do like that it's put it on a platform and tried to make it.
I like that as popsicle sticks down at the bottom or something like that.
These look like matchsticks.
Oh yeah. That's very
That's pretty
janky
cool.
DIY.
That's super janky DIY. Oh my god, I wish this other crap wasn't there.
Yeah, that's a I mean, you could just take the callouts from another rendering and
Yeah, or actually put them in. Just
Yeah.
go into
Yeah,
Photoshop or Illustrator or whatever.
yeah, that's what I like doing, is just going in and doing the
Yeah,
fixing up, because Midjourney will never give you something, of rarely gives you something perfectly usable.
yeah. I'm gonna try that again without the. I'm gonna edit out the call outs.
Yeah, edit out the callouts, and maybe you could simplify things. Like you could get rid of maybe get rid of, let's see what happens if you get rid of DIY and found materials.
Okay, DIY out, found, yeah.
I think
And
DIY.
Sorry, go on.
No, I think Jugad is interesting. I think Jugad and Janky are unique words that, and I'm curious to see what happens if it just uses those unique words, because DIY is very, very common. I think found materials might not be as useful. It might actually be bringing you the matchsticks. it'd be nice to see this look more life size.
I see what you're saying. I'm curious. I wanted to see if it would keep the matchsticks, but let's just see what happens. Because it's such like a. It's kind
Yeah,
of
yeah.
amazing that it's like I'm gonna use matchsticks for these fucking things. Because that's what you would do, right? If you were sitting there and you're working with, whatever your kid, be like, hey, let's make an Apollo lunar lander. Like here's some reference drives. Be like, what can we use for the legs? What do you see around that we can use for legs?
Well, the great thing is that could inspire the actual size. Imagine giant matchsticks as legs that you could set on fire and it uses to shoot you up.
Yeah.
Sulfur tipped landing feet.
Yeah.
Burn the boats, but because the boats are actuated by burning.
Right.
Well, that's kind of neat. It looks like it's like laser cut balsa wood.
Hmm.
Yeah. What is this text?
Oh, it's Jugad. That top
Yeah.
right one is the top ones are not understanding Jugad. I think they're just thinking that's a brand name or something.
Yeah. Let me try. You can only really copy paste, can't you? You can't. There's no shortcut
Yeah,
for.
you can only copy paste.
Let me take this out. I'm gonna put DIY back in.
Yep.
Design background. 3x2.
Yeah, I love doing these little micro tweaks.
I wonder what all this shadowing. These kind of like as if it's on. It almost looks like it's
Because
shading from a page fold.
yeah, I think I'm guessing because you're doing the on white background. What did you get rid of on white background and replace it with white psych?
White.
A CY.
Psych.
Yeah, white psych. Yeah.
Just like abbreviated.
Or maybe cyclorama just to be, because I think the on white background, because of the scale, the size of the model that I'm seeing there, it looks like that shading comes from tabletop photography where it's just a small piece of
Right.
foam core in the background and you can still see the edges of the room.
Yeah, or the edge of a light.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't do Imagine again.
I do that all the
Nick,
time.
what's wrong with you? Why don't you put Imagine in? So why this is cooking is something just occurred to me. I had a chat with Isabella a day or two ago, and just kind of catching up and thinking of stuff. And she had a cool idea of like maybe doing. I think I mentioned this to you, Dre. Like doing like an off-book general seminar.
Mm-hmm.
By off-book, I mean it's like just within the in the group, just a place to kind of get together with a purpose of doing almost like a short version of a design fiction daily, kind of like Dre's, his practice now of every day he gets up and picks up a design fiction kettlebell and hefts it a few times. And
Yeah.
at the end of that, he's got a little design fiction, like morning pages, but instead of writing, it's design fiction. Doing that, doing like little, like almost like pair programming, but pair design fictioning.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So that, just kind of get a chance to mess around with it and maybe, find the way to pair yeah, so it's more it's like one-on-one, two people working on it, as opposed to sometimes if it's just one person you can get kind of stuck or not sure what to do, or
Mhm.
decide that actually what I want to do is make a ham and cheese sandwich instead. So
It also sets aside specific time to do it, which is
yeah,
sometimes the difficulty.
yeah, interesting what happened here. I'm kind of digging these little kit things.
Yeah, they're great. That looks like
I'm bummed about the cropping. I wonder why that's happening. Like we were
You know,
good over here, right?
you know what? This would be awesome. This would be good. Like, those creativity kits or those STEM boxes that you can get for kids. It's a box full of cool little things you can build. I'm just imagining like this is like a 3D puzzle
Taking out
with
DOF dry.
laser cut laser cut pieces that you can put together and make this cool little thing, and just
Is the
create the
aspect
plan.
ratio screwing us up?
The
Might be.
aspect ratio is giving you a little bit more width for the callouts to appear.
Yeah, I don't know if I need those anymore. I'm gonna really
Yeah, you
screw
can.
things up because I'm gonna do a couple things at once and I have no idea what's going on.
Well, you know what you could do too, because right now you're using Q. You could go just delete the Q2, and then go dash style and go 4B.
4B,
Yeah,
not 4A.
no, 4B is the new one. We'll see how it.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's funny.
So what is this?
Yeah, exactly.
4A,
This is what
yeah,
I'm getting at, Nick.
yeah, not 4A. 4A is the old new. This is the new.
This is
Of what?
yeah, exactly. Stuff of a thing.
And if you want to do something that hasn't been built yet, go 4C. And
Just go 4Z or 5N, you know.
you could, yeah, exact 5B, and all of a sudden you've got yourself, you know what Midjourney is going to do next.
See, now it's interesting because we've lost these. Well, I guess there are only 3 out of 4 platforms. This one looks kind of cool. What is it, like a rocking horse one?
It's like a
Guy doesn't
rocking
have-
horse.
Star
Like-
Wars.
Yeah, it's an AT-AT head on a rocking horse.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah, you could laser cut that into these little puzzle kits that you could just sell to kids.
Jay's already gone down the. He's already done with the
Yeah,
merchandising is
side
clear.
hustle. Posting to Etsy now.
Yeah.
I'll figure out how to laser cut it when someone buys it.
Man, we're not too far away from it actually generating a mesh, right?
It's getting really close. I don't know if you've checked out this Nerf technology.
Oh fuck, man! Really? Now I gotta. I'll never get to my flight simulator.
Oh man, Nerf is stupid. It does full depth recognition from still photographs and renders like 3D environments. Like we're not going to need photogrammetry anymore. Like Nerfs are just going to take over replicating 3D environments. Somebody nerfed a street using Google Images, Google Street View. Just went down Google Street View, and that information alone was enough for them to render a really great 3D thing. Yeah, there's a YouTube channel called 2 Minute Papers. And that guy does such a great job covering the latest and greatest in visual AI stuff. And he's got great catchphrases. He's always, hold on to your papers, everyone. And he always ends it with like, what a time to be alive. Like he's a good character for scientific paper analysis.
Nerf is wild. My goodness.
Mm-hmm.
And point E as well. If you're seeing like the success, the sort of the point cloud successor to DALL-E. One of the, I mean, the promise, but also one of the drawbacks of neural radiance fields is that they don't deliver you geometry. And while it's not always a problem, you don't get vertices and triangles. What you get is a neural network that generates an image. You can make it a stereo image, but it's still not the same as actually having surface geometry, which a lot of techniques rely on. Point E is going to make point clouds that then can be turned into surfaces. which means that you don't get the same sort of complex radiance effects, like the way that lights bounce off surfaces and things like that. But somewhere in the middle between those things is some really interesting opportunities for being able to understand shapes and then integrate them into other environments. So yeah, there's a lot that's just around the corner.
Okay,
I
so I
really
saw
like
this the
that,
other day, like 1960s, AI is going to automate our mundane, boring parts of our lives. 2022, AI is automating all the fun stuff so that we can stay at our boring, mundane jobs more.
Where did you read this? That's pretty funny.
I don't remember now. It was possibly on TikTok.
Can you say that again? I want to try and capture that.
1960s, futurists were saying that AI was going to automate all the boring parts of life, allowing us to enjoy our lives better. 2022, AI is automating all the fun things and so that we can do our boring, tedious jobs even more, or something like that.
Cool.
Although I did see a signal that today that McDonald's is testing out robots in the kitchen to have a kitchen that's completely doesn't need any
Robotic.
humans.
Yeah, there's robots in the kitchen. Like there's that robotic hamburger making machine. I don't know if you've seen that. If you just look up like robot hamburger machine, it's actually quite beautiful. And there's nothing, intelligent about it. It's just it goes through a process similar to a vending machine, to give me the bag of chips from that. But there's a book that I read from the founder of some startup. He sold his startup in the first .com, and then he went and wrote this book, and the book is about an AI efficiency computer that sits at the back of a fast food restaurant, and it basically manages the restaurant. And it does such a good job at managing the restaurant that these companies figure out, oh, let's use it to manage other things. And then it turns out to manage like the biggest companies in the world, and it becomes the world. It manages the world, and it's basically put humans in these little boxes and so on and so forth. And it's AI. It's this unintended consequences of what seemed to be like a very basic fast food managing computer in the background, like that was just shoved next to the janitor closet and the cleaning supplies closet. But yeah, it was a super fun read. It's pretty short, and then it pivots at one point and goes into like the bright side of AI. But it was a very fun little book. See if I can try to remember it.
While we're on the topic of AIs taking over everything, just another plug for my wife's book, Digital Native. Absolutely on this exact subject.
Really?
Why are you hesitant to share that in Shill and Share?
Oh, I did.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm looking it up.
I'll put a link in the chat to the website I made for her. With links and the first part of the first chapter.
What's your wife's name?
Emily. She's writing under E.M. Dennison.
Yeah, got it. Okay, that's the one. Yeah, there's a couple of books that are called Digital Natives and so on.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, that's funny. And it needs a therapist. I did a design fiction a couple of years ago about robot therapy, where the robots get therapy.
That this goes deep on that.
That sounds like science fiction. Just to
True. Yeah, it is science. It is more science fiction.
Just to monitor.
Oh, it is absolutely science fiction. It's almost more fiction.
Yeah, it's definitely fiction. It's fiction. The only thing that was designed was the font that was chosen to describe it. All right, cool. I just ordered the
Oh,
book.
thank you. Hard copy or ebook?
I got the ebook.
Ah, excellent.
Um, so where would one draw the line between design fiction and science fiction? Is it a plausible thing, or is it a
I just say
probable
if you didn't make something that came from the world, then
thing?
it's not design fiction. So design fiction is it's got to be an artifact, a representation of something. So if you get in the time machine, blah 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 blah, look at these things I brought back.
Yeah.
And then the story you tell about it, like if you tell a story,
Mhm.
right, pop, 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 or like a stage play, like
Yeah.
no one's going to be like, oh,
Yeah.
is this real or what? So if you bring the thing, the thing, it's like I got
Yeah.
this thing, and just like when we did the magazine, like that's there are layers there, but just as if you take a macro view,
Mhm.
there's nothing. The magazine isn't saying like, uh, this is a magazine from the future. After you turn the first page, the magazine will start, or something.
So yeah. So it's
And
yeah.
maybe there's a rich way of actually saying that.
Well,
I haven't figured it out.
No, you know what it is. I think if the comment of oh, that's science fiction made me think of like, yeah, I think I get, I do get it. But I think the clarifying that the artifact, like, so the idea that to just go out and state that there's robot therapists is not really design fiction. But if you showed me an invoice from the robot therapist,
Yes. If
that's
you
Mhm.
showed me an invoice,
yeah.
if you showed me the robot therapist diploma that they have on the wall,
Mhm.
if you showed
Mhm.
me the robot therapist,
Yeah.
quick start guide, how do you actually use this damn thing? It's sitting there, it's not started up. I don't get it.
Yeah. And
Oh,
what do
I
you?
gotta issue a command. Oh,
Yeah.
something.
And what
The
do you?
Medium article between the difference between robot therapy and just debugging.
Yeah. So if we did if we did a magazine from the future that was Psychology Today, there could be like an op-ed or
Mhm.
and an advertisement for three
Yeah.
different firms that make these. Oh no, ours is actually
Yeah.
better because we're using Mosher V3 algorithms. Those other guys are using
Yeah.
the Bray stuff from back in
It's
7.
4C. It's 4C, please.
So the same way that a therapist might give a human prescribe a human some drugs, maybe the robot therapist is prescribing the robot a special tincture oil or something that that it's required, so you can have like a prescription. Nick, I feel like that could be a really fun thing to promote your wife's book, is
Mhm.
to explore artifacts from a
Here
robot.
comes Dre. This is Dre in his best.
There.
Right.
He's already down the path.
Yeah, I was
He's
gonna
like,
say you could do robot therapy artifacts and just use design fiction as like just literally like mini ads for your wife's book.
totally.
That'd be a fun exercise.
Yeah,
be a
that
fun
could
thing.
be.
And you just like lean into
Yeah.
it, because what's the jeopardy in leaning into it?
Yeah.
If insofar as
Right,
if you
right.
do it nice and thoroughly, it's like even like I don't know, like posting like as if you took it with your phone, a picture from an article that is
Mhm.
talking about robot there, whatever is the right idiom. So it's like, wait a
Right.
minute, what's going on here? Like, why would anyone take a picture of something that didn't exist? So this must be something. I want to wonder what this is. You're not trying to fool anyone. You're not saying like, hey, send me,
Right. Yeah.
if you, whatever, the Nigerian prince scam or something.
No, I
But
just want
just
you to send me 99 cents.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sorry, is that too much to ask? What the fuck?
Yeah, I know. I just need 3 million people to send me 99 cents. That's all.
Yeah. It's like my friend who kept saying like, all I need is for Doge to go up like to it's just like it's not gonna do
Like
it.
some
Right.
fractional, tiny little fraction.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, if
yeah.
I
It
could
just
get
does
Shibu
that.
Inu to go up to $1
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't seem
equivalency,
like too much. I mean, a
I'd
buck
be, I'd
isn't
be
that much.
so, I
Look,
know,
I mean, I lost a buck in the sofa. How hard could it be?
right? Just give me $10 million. Yeah.
Yeah. Some friends of mine were like talking about Shiba Inu getting to $1 back when it had, I think, like 8 zeros after
Yeah.
the decimal, and they were like, man, if this goes to $1, man, we can all quit our jobs. And I did the math, and it was like, it's like 3 times the entire world economy. It's never going to get to $1.
You did the
Oh, you
math.
mean like the number of Shibu owned or something?
Yeah.
No, it's just like, well, if a Shibu yeah, if it were up to $1, like, and you calculate its market capitalization based on that, you're like, this is 3 times the world of economy. There's it'll never in a million years hit $1. Meanwhile, these guys are like, they're bullish on like, yeah, we're gonna.
And you almost hope that it doesn't. You
Yeah.
know, you don't want. Are you kidding me? What kind of economy is that? Like, oh my god.
You can buy Earth and the moon.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if
And
you
yeah,
had
like
it?
and all the minerals on like Io probably, and that asteroid that's over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you run out of stuff to buy. That sucks.
Yeah. I'm a trillionaire and I'm so bored with my billionaire friends.
But yeah, I was thinking about like having a 3D artist like render some of the props from her book a while back, and I was just saving up some money to hire a 3D artist. But this sort of idea of like going into like a picture of
Yeah.
an article or an ad or something like that is much more doable on a
Yeah.
budget.
Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
keep
think
it
that you
simple.
can, well, you know what it is? It's like the same principle around Lego. The idea behind Lego is that you just give core blocks to build with, and the less imagination you put into the toy itself, the more imagination is required to make the toy special.
Right.
And I think design fiction is kind of like that. You don't show the thing, you show an artifact related to the thing, and it forces you to imagine the thing, and it forces you to imagine the world. And that's what I think that's what I like about design fiction, is it can be low fidelity.
Low fidelity, and people that people have to pour their imagination in order to make sense of it. It's almost like, I don't know, I don't want to sound like all retros or whatever, but it's like, the difference between reading a story and seeing a story, or even this is a really fun area.
Mhm.
It's maybe worth doing a thing on it at some point. Like flash fiction, like somewhere around here I've got these little books where it's just like 6 words.
Yeah.
For
I love flash fiction.
for
Yeah.
sale.
Oh, yeah.
The one
Baby
that was
shoes, never
Baby
worn.
shoes,
the baby
never
shoes
worn.
one. Yeah.
God, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah. And why? What I mean, why? So that's the thing. It's
Because
just
it was
those 4
born an
words.
adult. It was born with 2 big feet.
Yeah, it's got these huge like elephant feet. They thought it was gonna be like little kid feet, and it's just these giant feet. And now they're like, they're professional like mountain climber because they got these enormous great feet for climbing.
It was funny because I wrote one a while back that it's called For Sale Baby Gloves Never Worn. And it just didn't resonate with the people the same way.
Not derivative at all.
I don't get it. Baby gloves.
I also like the
For sale baby, never used.
Yeah, no, brand new.
I going back to like low resolution or low fidelity. I like the idea of like comparing it to television versus radio. Whereas television shows you the spectacle, whereas radio requires you to do a theater of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
Where in television, if you needed to do like a B-52 bomber dropping giant marshmallows into a lake of hot chocolate, like that would cost a gajillion dollars. But if you did that on the radio and you had the sound of this and that, and you just described what it was, and it did it, you could get a very similar effect in terms of imagination. Brandel, how do you like, for like with someone with aphantasia, like how does like radio dramas play out for you if you ever listen to them, or if you have you?
I haven't listened to radio dramas since Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Uh, I listened to. I haven't finished it all, but listening to like sort of book 4 and 5 in places was fun. I don't. They're interesting, but I don't imagine them. I can't see the spaces.
Mhm.
But then my sense is that I don't reason visually, so
Mhm.
I can understand arrangements of things without having that sort of manifest or be understood in a visual sense. So I can kind of create spaces, but they're just not visual.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can kind of get the sense, like the sense of acoustics from a place that something is big without being able to see it. Yeah, the like I can arrange things relative to each other, and have a pretty strong sense of that for navigation and other things like that. That but they don't turn into sight. They don't turn
Mhm.
into pictures. Yeah.
Do you not dream in pictures?
Yeah, but I can't see things in my mind's eye.
That's the
Yeah.
same thing that JMO has.
Oh, he's got that. Oh, yeah, that's right. I had a good conversation about, because he's doing this new podcast that he's working on where he's talking to people to like ask them to imagine all these things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh my god!" It's like I told him, I was like, "I'm sorry, man. I found this, it was the funniest episode." Just the way he was saying it, it's like I was like blown away. People like actually imagined, they didn't know, which is, I mean, in a way, unless you study this, how would you? It's like I asked him to imagine like a soccer ball or something like that, and he like saw the ball, and I just sort of imagined the idea of a soccer ball, and he was like, I didn't get it. It was so weird." So you realize that it was a good one. It's
Yeah.
fascinating.
What
Mhm.
what one consequence of it is that you imagine the properties of a thing, the aspects of it, rather than a picture per se. So you think about what it is that a soccer ball is. And
Yeah.
that has its benefits because it means that
Mhm.
you think about you sort of maybe more literally you sort of imagine that it's got pentagons and hexagons, or that there's a curvature, or there's the pressure inside it and things like that, rather than having an image. And maybe those things are easily brought to mind as a consequence of seeing a soccer ball. But yeah, like the sort of the function of it comes through, or at least it does for me. And so like uh, I, I can come up with ideas. I have an imagination, but it doesn't start with pictures. And one of the reasons why I have leaned into confluence with drawing and modeling and all of those other things, which I can do relatively well, but primarily like my goal is to be able to do them really, really quickly, is so that they can then act as visual aids for being able to do those things, is so
Yeah.
that I can imagine with my hand, with my eyes.
Yeah.
And that's kind of fun.
Yeah. So does that change the way you write AI prompts? If you're describing the functions and the uses of the things?
I haven't tried writing AI prompts before.
Sorry, you've got the researcher in me interested. And if this is too personal, tell me to back off. I don't want to push too far. It's just it's totally interesting.
Yeah. No, I've not used. I haven't found the idea of AI prompts very appealing.
Hmm.
It's not something that I've learned or played with much, because I um I really like the instrumentality of technology, being able to wield something as an instrument. And for me, like that even goes as far as I've never really had much tolerance or patience for non-real-time 3D rendering.
Mm.
I always, it's like it's either real time or I'm not interested.
Wow. Yeah.
Which has put me in good stead to be able to do augmented and virtual reality kind of work, because it means the real-time graphics is sort of the mainstay of it. But that was a bias and a preference that I got as early as the mid 90s when I was starting out in 3D modeling. So yeah, it's not principled. It's just I hate things that I can't kind of literally tweak in real time, because and it might be to do with aphantasia, because I can't see, or I don't have the ability to anticipate what those subtle changes are going to be likely to do to a thing. So I want to build the muscle memory kind of skills of how to tweak in order to be able to use that as my imagination.
Fascinating.
Totally fascinating.
Dre, may I ask you a question?
Who are you
For
asking the
Dre?
question? For Dre?
To Dre,
Oh
yes.
yeah, absolutely.
Is it what you are sharing on Instagram is the outcome of your design fiction daily practice or not?
Oh no, what I'm sharing on Instagram is a whole other thing. This is if you want to see the design fiction thing, go to designfictiondaily.com. So I do, and right now I'm doing multiple things every day. Not sure how long that's going to last, but I'm trying. What I'm doing on Instagram is kind of playing around with NASA Punk. So I ended up getting nasapunk.com. So everything I put on Instagram goes to nasapunk.com, which is just a Tumblr. But on Instagram, my current obsession is travel trailers. And I love the NASA Punk aesthetic, because I bought a travel trailer a few months ago, and it's this cool 1970s fiberglass trailer. If you go on my Instagram, you'll see it. It's actually the last post before I started doing all that other stuff. So I was using Midjourney to conjure ideas for like, how do I want to decorate it? Because I know I want to make it a bit of a NASA Punk thing. I have a box of old retro switches in my basement. It's like, oh, I'm going to replace the switches with these cool like retro toggles and so on. And as I started doing this for inspiration, I just loved the look of them. So I posted it on Instagram and did well. And I posted another, and a couple did really, really well. And so now I'm doing that. So I'm getting tired of
Like
the
crazy well.
Yeah, crazy well. Yeah.
Compared
Like,
to
It's awesome. It couldn't
like
be wrong, right?
compared to like your typical, like it way above the
Yeah.
mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah. My average, I have well, I had 800 followers last week, and now I have 1,000 followers. And out of that 800 from before, I would get maybe 30 or 35 likes on a really good post. And then I've got a couple that have hit over 700 likes. So that's not normal. But I'm also like really thinking about hashtags. Like I'm really thinking about not just speaking to futures and science fiction people, but tapping into like the trailer community, like targeting Airstream and RV life and campers. And that's where I think I'm getting a lot of hits from. And some people think it's real. They're like, that's a really great RV.
Yeah, totally.
Like,
Which
oh,
is
that's cool.
beautiful. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess at some level, like, but then what in your imagination, like, what is next? Like, if they're
I have
you know the targeting, so they're like kind of drawn
Yeah.
to it, like, oh, this is cool to look at, and then what's the conversation?
Yeah. So I've got a few different, like, so one person reached out to me and said, I love what you're doing. And I love how you're taking something. I think it's like an everyday, similar to design fiction. It is an everyday, I'm keeping it mundane, right? It's just camping,
Yeah.
but you're on Mars, you're on Kepler, you're on, you're on the moon. And I think that's just captured some people's imaginations. So, what I'm going to try in the next little while is I want to keep this cute, homey aesthetic. So I've got a bunch of interior shots. Like, so I'm looking at like tiny house design from inside and showing like, oh, well, this is what the inside of these things look like. And they're kind of mundane. It's like nice lighting, and like there's a wine rack in the corner and some comfortable seats. So I think interior shots are going to be something that I'm going to play around with, and I'm also going to look around at doing like other camping related things, like if you wanted to cook outside, what would that look like? What does like the Martian barbecue look like? So I'm trying to think of what are the accessories around that. So I'm not pivoting too far away from what I'm doing now, but I'm doing something that's relatable, and hopefully it maintains the engagement that I'm getting now, and hopefully grow it a little bit more. But I don't know, I'm having fun with it. It's nice motivation to just see a lot of likes come in,
Yeah.
and it adds a little bit of fuel. But yeah, design fiction daily is the biggest priority. That's the one where I try to hit it every day. And I like the kettlebell analogy. That's what it kind of feels like. It's like last night, it was 10 o'clock. And I just didn't feel like, I was tired. I'd done all this work, making videos for Motional, doing all that stuff for Magazines of the Future. And I was just freaking tired. And I was like, all right, I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to take a cold shower and wake the fuck up and sit down on my computer. And by 11, I was done. I had my design fiction daily done. So it felt like doing a workout.
It is that thing. It's like, it sucks. It hurts. I can do it tomorrow, but I think you need to treat it like that. Like, just like the ritual, like, I mean,
I have to
make the bed. Like, what's the point? I'm just going to get in and mess it up. But it's like, you do it because that's the, the value is beyond just having, like, smoothed out sheets.
Yeah. What is it that when they say that the hardest part about going for a run is just getting out the door? It's like the hardest part about doing design fiction is just turning on Photoshop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was right before I posted that drone sign in the group chat, I came up with 5 sticky notes, large sticky notes, just absolutely full of possible ideas. But again, the hard part was picking one to actually open up Photoshop or GIMP or whatever it was I was using at the time.
Yeah.
And generating something.
Yeah, it's just about it's just picking anything. It doesn't matter. Like, what is it? It's like, if you don't know where to start, just start anywhere. That's the way to go.
The first step to a journey is the one you take.
Yeah.
Who said that? Jesus? One of those guys?
Card.
I know, one of those influencers.
Gandalf.
Yeah. One of the Jenners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That sort of laser cut look, I just realized there's a really nice way to do it in Blender by using Solidify, which is taking flat planes and then turning them into volumes. You can also apply different material to the thing so that you can make it look like sort of laser cut MDF on the sides, but with white on the ends. And it means that you can kind of just model stuff out more or less immediately and make it look laser cut, which is really cool.
What's the name of that
That
render engine?
Huh? Eevee?
It is Eevee?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I like doing that. I like adding Eevee to the prompt. Like some people will do like Octane render. I'll put Eevee render, or what's the other one that's in Blender? That's
Cycles.
Yeah, Cycles. You can do Cycles render. You can do there's that cartoon one, Toon Shader, I think it is. So you can do, you can do a Toon Shader render, and it'll actually just give you the cartoon look. So yeah, I like referencing specific technology and plugins in prompts.
Yeah, you'd be able to use a lot of the, I mean, I don't know how well known it is, but like RenderMan and all of the other
ray tracing,
Pixar technologies.
Mm-hmm.
And they have some gantry junk underneath this.
Speaking of, prompt GPT or Chat GPT, I forked this GitHub repo that somebody put together. Let me see if I can find the actual. I'm not great with. Oh, here we go. Boom, forked from here. Got it. Boom, here. I forked it, but you're better off doing this one because it's been updated since I forked it. So, yeah, it's a GitHub repo of different ways of engaging with Chat GPT to do stuff, and it's kind of amazing all the stuff you can do with it. Like stuff like you can ask it to make a list of items and attributes, and it'll make the list, and then you can tell it to turn it into a table, and it'll just make a table for you. There's a lot of like videos on people using it to assist with coding. Write this routine, boom, and it does a pretty good job at that. And then somebody else I was reading yesterday was using it to understand regedit, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, wow.
Regedit. What's regedit?
Regedit is the Windows
the
registry editor.
Registry.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So something in my back of my mind was just like, wait, that was the thing that you weren't supposed
Yeah,
to
because I
screw
use
around with too
regedit to
much? You
because
do that
I
and
always
you
had.
just brick your system.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, I have to use regedit to make my mouse scroll in the other direction because Windows doesn't natively let you do that.
Wait,
What
huh?
Windows are you on?
Windows 11.
Trackpads will.
Well, yeah, trackpads will, but mouse doesn't. I'm a mouse guy. The you have to do it with regedit. Although I heard they were going to add it to Power Toys, which is another thing I like a lot.
Oh, I'm amused. One of their prompts is act as a UX UI developer. And one of my big, it's semantics, but one of my big soapboxes is there are no UX UI developers. There are designers and there are front end web developers. There are no UX UI developers. You don't develop a UI. You code it or you design it. Act as a life coach. Act as a dentist.
Accidentist. Is that a dentist that's not very good?
Act as a dentist. I mean, I
act
would
as a
expect
dentist.
OpenAI to be a terrible dentist since it
That was a
doesn't have, the tools.
What you just did there, Julian, is what I call a misimprovement. Accidentist. Damn it. That's good. That's like a band name. That's a post-rock band name.
Act as SpongeBob's magic conch shell was their last one. Stuff is wild. Act as a time traveler. Hey, that might actually be really useful for us. You want to act as my time travel guide. I will provide you with the historical period or future time I want you to visit. You will suggest the best events, sites, or people to experience.
Anything else?
No, I'm in the time machine rabbit hole here.
What are you in? What's the rabbit hole doing?
I'm in doing Chat GPT. So I just asked it. I said, I want you to visit the future where autonomous vehicles are ubiquitous, specifically Gary, Indiana. Can you suggest some interesting events, sites, or people for me to experience? And then and let it do its thing.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's lately they're putting disclaimers. Anytime I ask for like the future, anytime I ask for it to do something that isn't real, it says it's impossible for me to accurately predict the future. There's always like a weird disclaimer.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah. Yeah, they're trying to just trying to cover their asses with what did I say the other day? I said I'm working on something about like an airport on the moon. Oh, I did the anti-surveillance cream. I asked it to like I wanted to see what kind of imaginings that it could come up with. And it says, as you are looking for marketing copy for a cream that blocks surveillance cameras, it is important to note that there may be products that claim to be able to do this, but it's not possible for them to actually do this. So it's trying to put a disclaimer in front of anything that people are creating fake, you know, like basically auto-generated copy, so that if you tried to create an AliExpress page and use Chat GPT to generate auto product descriptions, is trying to save itself from any legal issues.
Nice. I used it to do a cover letter recently. That was
Yeah,
fun.
Yeah, it's good for that type of stuff.
I haven't gotten any job requests from it, but I don't expect it. I'm very, very picky.
As you should.
I mean, I'm in a good job. I get an okay salary. I can support my family. So it's got to be something real good.
Mm-hmm. Nice. All right, I think I'm going to bounce. I gotta do some posts today and try to free up my weekend so I can spend it with the family, eating foods,
Yeah. Fruitcake.
fruitcake.
Probably not a bad idea.
I look forward to your your write-up of the Excel verse.
Yeah. I'm thinking. I'm trying to think of what artifact is going to come out of that. Probably a software box or something like that.
Yeah.
That'll be fun. Cool. All right, fellas, and
Okay.
everyone, people.
Yeah, I do.
See ya.
See you, humans. Bye.
See everybody.
And bots. I want to be
That's right.
inclusive.
Bye,
Okay.
everyone.
Wish you all also happy holidays.
Yes.
You
Happy
too.
holidays.
Yes.
Enjoy it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.